We will understand how India began as an ancient civilization, how great kingdoms and empires rose, how foreign powers came, how India fought for freedom, and how it became a modern nation. This video is important because understanding history helps us understand how a nation was built, how people face challenges, and how the past continues to shape the present. It is not only educational, but it is also a great way to improve your English listening, vocabulary, and comprehension. So, listen carefully, learn something new, and practice your English at the same time. If you enjoy educational videos like this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us for more English learning and fascinating history lessons. India is not just a country. India is a civilization. It is a land of kings and kingdoms, saints and scholars, traders and warriors, temples and universities, rivers and religions, ideas and revolutions. When we talk about the history of India, we are not talking about one small story. We are talking about thousands of years of human life. We are talking about the Indus Valley Civilization, where people built planned cities when many parts of the world were still developing basic settlements. We are talking about the Vedic Age, where ideas of philosophy, society, and spirituality started taking shape. We are talking about great empires like the Maurya Empire and the Gupta Empire. We are talking about Buddhism, Jainism, Hindu traditions, ancient science, mathematics, art, literature, trade, and powerful rulers. We are talking about invaders, battles, changes, struggles, and the rise of new cultures. We are talking about the freedom movement, where ordinary people became extraordinary because they wanted independence. India's history is not boring. It is full of mystery, power, wisdom, courage, and transformation. The story of India teaches us one important lesson. A civilization can fall, rise, change, suffer, rebuild, and still continue. India changed many times, but India never disappeared. So in this full history, we will understand India in 3 big chapters. Chapter 1 will explain ancient India, from the first great cities to the golden age of knowledge. Chapter 2 will explain medieval India, from powerful regional kingdoms to the Delhi Sultanate and the Mughal Empire. Chapter 3 will explain modern India, from European arrival to British rule, freedom struggle, independence, and the making of modern India. So let us begin the journey. Chapter 1. Ancient India, the beginning of a great civilization. The story of India begins thousands of years ago. Long before modern roads, trains, phones, and cities, people were already living near rivers, forests, and fertile lands. The most important rivers in early Indian history were the Indus River and the Ganga River. Rivers were life. They gave water. They helped farming. They helped people travel. They helped cities grow. And near the Indus River, one of the world's oldest civilizations was born. This civilization is known as the Indus Valley Civilization. It existed around 2600 BCE to 1900 BCE, and it was one of the most advanced civilizations of the ancient world. The most famous cities of this civilization were Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. When archaeologists discovered these cities, they found something amazing. These were not random villages. These were planned cities. The streets were straight. The houses were built with bricks. There were drainage systems. There were wells. There were storage buildings. There were public baths. This shows that the people of the Indus Valley were not simple or backward. They were organized, intelligent, and skilled. Imagine a city thousands of years ago with proper drains and planned streets. That is why the Indus Valley civilization is so important. People there were farmers, traders, builders, craftsmen, and artists. They grew crops like wheat and barley. They kept animals. They made pottery, jewelry, seals, and tools. They traded with other regions, including Mesopotamia, which is in the area of modern Iraq. This means ancient India was already connected with the world. But there is one mystery. The Indus people had a writing system, but historians have not fully understood it yet. Their script is still not completely decoded. So we do not know everything about their language, rulers, or beliefs. This makes the Indus Valley civilization one of the biggest mysteries of Indian history. Then, around 1900 BCE, this civilization slowly declined. Why did it decline? Historians believe there may have been many reasons. Climate change, river changes, floods, droughts, decline in trade, movement of people. No one reason explains everything perfectly. But the cities slowly became weaker, and people moved to different areas. After the Indus Valley civilization, Indian history entered another important period. This is called the Vedic Age. The Vedic Age is connected with the Vedas, which are some of the oldest religious and philosophical texts of India. The Vedas include the Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, and Atharva Veda. This period is important because many ideas of ancient Indian society, religion, rituals, and philosophy started developing during this time. In the early Vedic period, people lived mostly in villages. Cattle were very important. Farming was important. Society was organized around families and tribes. Over time, people moved toward the Ganga plains and agriculture became stronger. Iron tools helped farming. Settlements became bigger. Small tribes slowly turned into kingdoms. This change was very important because India was moving from village life toward organized states and kingdoms. During this period, many social and religious ideas developed. The Sanskrit language became important. The idea of dharma started becoming meaningful. Rituals and sacrifices were common. But later, people also started asking deeper questions. Who am I? What is the purpose of life? What happens after death? What is truth? What is the soul? These deep questions gave birth to the Upanishads. The Upanishads focused more on knowledge, meditation, self-realization, and the deeper meaning of life. This shows something beautiful about ancient India. India was not only building cities and kingdoms. India was also building ideas. Then came another powerful stage in Indian history. Around the 6th century BCE, many large kingdoms and republics appeared in northern India. These were called the Mahajanapadas. There were 16 major Mahajanapadas. Some of the most famous were Magadha, Kosala, Vatsa, and Avanti. Among them, Magadha became the most powerful. Why was Magadha powerful? It had fertile land. It had iron resources. It had strong rulers. It had a good location for trade and control. This period was also important because two great spiritual movements began during this time: Buddhism and Jainism. Both challenged some existing social and religious practices and gave people new ways to think about life, suffering, nonviolence, discipline, and self-control. Jainism is connected with Mahavira. Mahavira taught nonviolence, truth, non-attachment, and self-discipline. Buddhism is connected with Gautama Buddha. Buddha was born as Siddhartha Gautama. He was a prince, but he saw suffering in the world. He saw old age, sickness, and death. He wanted to understand why humans suffer and how they could become free from suffering. After deep meditation, he attained enlightenment. He taught the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. His message was simple but powerful. Life has suffering. Suffering has a cause. Suffering can end. There is a path to end suffering. Buddhism spread across India and later to many parts of Asia. This shows that ancient India was not only a place of kings, it was also a place of teachers who changed the thinking of millions. Now let us move to one of the greatest empires of ancient India, the Maurya Empire. The Maurya Empire was founded by Chandragupta Maurya around 322 BCE. This was one of the first large empires in Indian history. Chandragupta Maurya was a powerful ruler, and his rise is connected with Chanakya, also known as Kautilya. Chanakya was a brilliant teacher, strategist, and political thinker. He helped Chandragupta build a strong empire. The Maurya Empire had a powerful administration, army, taxation system, and network of officials. Its capital was Pataliputra, near modern Patna. Chandragupta created a strong foundation, but the most famous Mauryan ruler was Ashoka. Ashoka first expanded the empire through war, but one war changed his life forever: the Kalinga War. The Kalinga War was extremely violent. Many people died. Many families suffered. After seeing the destruction, Ashoka felt deep regret. This was one of the most emotional turning points in Indian history. Ashoka decided to move away from violent conquest and follow the path of Dhamma. He supported Buddhism and spread messages of peace, kindness, respect, and moral living. He sent messages through inscriptions on pillars and rocks. He also supported the spread of Buddhism outside India. Ashoka is remembered not only as a conqueror, but as a ruler who changed after seeing the pain of war. That is what makes him special. He showed that real greatness is not only in winning battles. Real greatness is also in changing your heart. After Ashoka, the Maurya Empire slowly became weak and eventually declined. But Indian history did not stop. Many regional kingdoms rose in different parts of India. In the northwest, foreign groups like the Indo-Greeks, Shakas, Parthians, and Kushans entered and ruled different areas. The Kushan ruler Kanishka became famous for supporting Buddhism and trade. During this time, India was connected with Central Asia, China, and the Roman world through trade routes. Indian goods like spices, textiles, and precious stones were valued in many places. India was becoming a major center of trade and culture. Then came the Gupta Empire, often called the Golden Age of ancient India. The Gupta Empire began around the 4th century CE. Important Gupta rulers included Chandragupta I, Samudragupta, and Chandragupta II. The Gupta period is famous for achievements in art, literature, science, mathematics, astronomy, and culture. This was a time when knowledge flourished. One of the greatest achievements of ancient India was in mathematics. The concept of zero became one of India's most important contributions to the world. Without zero, modern mathematics, science, computers, and technology would be impossible. Indian mathematicians also worked on numbers, calculations, and astronomy. Aryabhata, one of India's great mathematicians and astronomers, explained important ideas about the Earth, planets, and calculations. Literature also became powerful. Kalidasa, one of the greatest Sanskrit poets and playwrights, wrote beautiful works during this period. Art and sculpture developed. Temples became more important. Education also had a strong place in ancient India. Universities like Nalanda later became famous centers of learning, attracting students from different regions. The Gupta age shows that power is not only about armies. A civilization becomes great when it produces knowledge, art, ideas, and wisdom. But like all empires, the Gupta Empire also declined. Attacks, internal weakness, and political changes reduced its power. After the Gupta period, India again became divided into many regional kingdoms. In northern India, Harsha became an important ruler in the 7th century CE. In southern India, powerful kingdoms like the Cholas, Cheras, and Pandyas developed over time. The south played a huge role in trade, temples, art, literature, and sea connections. The Cholas later became especially famous for their naval power, temple architecture, and influence in Southeast Asia. This is important to understand. India's history was never only about North India. South India, East India, West India, and Central India all had their own powerful stories. Different languages grew. Different styles of art developed. Different kingdoms rose. Different traditions continued. That is why India became so diverse. Ancient India was not one simple story. It was many stories together. It was the story of cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. It was the story of the Vedas and Upanishads. It was the story of Buddha and Mahavira. It was the story of Chandragupta and Chanakya. It was the story of Ashoka and his change after war. It was the story of mathematics, zero, astronomy, Sanskrit literature, temples, trade, and learning. It was the story of a civilization that kept growing, changing, and creating. And the most powerful lesson from ancient India is this: a great civilization is not built only with weapons. It is built with knowledge. It is built with ideas. It is built with discipline. It is built with culture. It is built with questions. It is built with courage. Ancient India gave the world many things. It gave spiritual ideas. It gave philosophical thinking. It gave mathematics. It gave literature. It gave trade connections. It gave examples of powerful rulers and wise teachers. And this was only the beginning, because after ancient India, a new chapter would begin. New kingdoms would rise. New religions and cultures would interact. New invaders would come. New rulers would build new cities. India would enter the medieval period. And that story is full of power, conflict, art, architecture, courage, and change. Chapter 2. Medieval India, the Age of Kingdoms, Empires, Faith, Art, and Power. After the ancient period, India entered a new phase. This phase is called Medieval India. Medieval India was not a quiet time. It was a time of powerful kings, new religions, great battles, beautiful temples, strong forts, rich trade, amazing art, and changing culture. India was not ruled by one single power all the time. Different parts of India had different rulers. North India had its own kingdoms. South India had its own powerful dynasties. East and West India had their own stories. This is why Indian history is so rich. It is not one straight road. It is like a huge river with many branches. After the Gupta Empire declined, many regional kingdoms became powerful. In North India, rulers like Harsha tried to bring large areas under one rule. Harsha ruled in the 7th century, and he became one of the important kings after the Gupta period. But after Harsha, North India again became divided. Different kingdoms fought for power. One important group during this time was the Rajputs. The Rajputs were known for courage, warfare, honor, and strong kingdoms. They ruled many parts of Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and North India. They built forts, palaces, and temples. Their stories are full of bravery, loyalty, and sacrifice. At the same time, South India was also becoming powerful. The Cholas became one of the greatest dynasties of South India. The Cholas were not only strong on land, They were also powerful at sea. They built a strong navy. They expanded their influence to Sri Lanka and parts of Southeast Asia. This shows that India was not only connected by land routes, India was also connected by sea trade. Indian traders traveled across the Indian Ocean. They traded spices, cloth, jewels, and other goods. Indian culture, religion, language, and art also influenced Southeast Asia. The Cholas are also famous for temple architecture. The Brihadiswara temple at Thanjavur is one of the greatest examples of Chola architecture. It shows the power, skill, and devotion of that period. This is important to understand. Medieval India was not only about war. It was also about art, temples, trade, devotion, literature, and culture. While Indian kingdoms were rising and fighting, new powers were also entering from the northwest. For many centuries, different groups had entered India from Central Asia and beyond. Some came as traders. Some came as invaders. Some came as rulers. One of the most important changes happened when Turkish and Afghan rulers started establishing power in North India. Before this, India had faced many attacks from the northwest. One famous name was Mahmud of Ghazni. He attacked parts of India many times in the 11th century. His attacks were mostly for wealth and political power. Later, Muhammad Ghori came in the 12th century. His victory in the Second Battle of Turin in 1192 became very important. After that, the foundation for Turkish rule in North India became stronger. This led to the beginning of the Delhi Sultanate. The Delhi Sultanate was a major period in medieval Indian history. It began in the early 13th century and continued until the rise of the Mughals in the 16th century. The Delhi Sultanate was ruled by different dynasties. These included the Mamluk dynasty, the Khilji dynasty, the Tughlaq dynasty, the Sayyid dynasty, and the Lodi dynasty. The capital was Delhi, and Delhi became one of the most important political centers of India. The early rulers of the Delhi Sultanate had to face many problems. They had to control large areas. They had to stop rebellions. They had to protect India from Mongol attacks. They had to collect taxes. They had to manage different people, languages, religions, and regions. One important ruler was Iltutmish. He helped strengthen the Sultanate. Another powerful ruler was Razia Sultan. She is remembered because she became one of the few women rulers of Delhi. Her rule was short, but her story is important because it shows that power and leadership were not only male stories. Then came Alauddin Khilji. He was one of the strongest rulers of the Delhi Sultanate. He expanded his empire. He controlled markets. He made economic reforms. He strengthened the army. He also defended North India from Mongol attacks. His period was full of power and ambition. After the Khiljis, the Tughlaqs came. Muhammad bin Tughlaq is one of the most interesting rulers in Indian history. He was intelligent and ambitious, but many of his experiments failed. He tried to shift the capital from Delhi to Daulatabad. He also introduced token currency. These ideas were bold, but they created problems because they were not managed well. His story teaches an important lesson. A ruler may have big ideas, but big ideas need practical planning. During the Delhi Sultanate, Indian culture changed in many ways. New styles of architecture appeared. Arches, domes, minarets, and new building techniques became common. Persian language became important in administration and culture. Indian and Persian traditions started interacting. Music, poetry, clothing, food, and art slowly changed. This was not a simple story of one culture replacing another. It was a story of mixing, conflict, adaptation, and creation. At the same time, religious and spiritual movements became very powerful. Two important movements were the Bhakti movement and the Sufi tradition. The Bhakti movement focused on personal devotion to God. Bhakti saints often taught that true devotion is more important than caste, rituals, or social status. They used local languages so common people could understand them. Saints like Kabir, Mirabai, Tulsidas, Surdas, Namdev, and many others became important. Their message was simple but deep. Love God. Live with humility. Do not judge people by birth. Look for truth inside your heart. Sufism also became important. Sufi saints focused on love, devotion, peace, and closeness to God. They attracted people from different backgrounds. Sufi centers became places of spiritual teaching, music, poetry, and community. The Bhakti and Sufi movements made Indian society more emotional, poetic, and spiritual. They gave ordinary people a direct connection to faith. They also helped different communities understand each other better. While the Delhi Sultanate was ruling North India, South India had its own powerful empire. This was the Vijayanagara Empire. The Vijayanagara Empire rose in the 14th century in South India. Its capital was Vijayanagara, near modern Hampi. This empire became a great center of power, trade, art, and architecture. Foreign travelers who visited Vijayanagara wrote about its wealth, markets, temples, and large population. The empire protected South Indian culture and supported temples, music, literature, and trade. The ruins of Hampi still show the greatness of this empire. Large temples, stone chariots, markets, and royal structures tell us that this was once a magnificent city. At the same time, the Bahmani Sultanate and later the Deccan Sultanates became powerful in the Deccan region. The Deccan became a zone where North and South Indian politics met. There were battles, alliances, cultural exchanges, and artistic developments. This period shows that India was never completely separated into simple categories. Regions interacted with each other constantly. Then, in the 16th century, a new power entered Indian history. The Mughals. The Mughal Empire began with Babur. Babur came from Central Asia. In 1526, he defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the First Battle of Panipat. This battle marked the beginning of Mughal rule in India. Babur was a skilled warrior and writer, but his rule in India was short. After him came Humayun. Humayun faced many difficulties and even lost his kingdom for some time. But he returned before his death. The real expansion and strengthening of the Mughal Empire happened under Akbar. Akbar was one of the greatest rulers in Indian history. He became king at a young age, but he grew into a powerful and wise ruler. He expanded the empire. He built a strong administration. He respected different communities. He worked with Rajput rulers. He reduced some religious tensions. He encouraged discussion between people of different faiths. Akbar understood something very important. India is diverse. If you want to rule India, you must understand its diversity. You cannot rule only with the sword. You also need wisdom, cooperation, and respect. Akbar's rule became famous for stability, administration, and cultural growth. After Akbar came Jahangir. Jahangir loved art, nature, and painting. During his time, Mughal painting became very beautiful. Then came Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan is famous for architecture. The greatest symbol of his rule is the Taj Mahal. The Taj Mahal was built in memory of his wife Mumtaz Mahal. It is one of the most beautiful buildings in the world. But Shah Jahan's period was not only about beauty, it was also about royal power, wealth, and empire. After Shah Jahan came Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb ruled for a long time. He expanded the Mughal Empire to its greatest size, but his rule also created many conflicts. There were wars in the Deccan. There were tensions with Rajputs, Marathas, Sikhs, and other groups. His long military campaigns used a lot of resources. After Aurangzeb died in 1707, the Mughal Empire slowly became weak. The empire was too large to control easily. Regional powers started rising. The Marathas became very powerful. The Marathas were led first by Shivaji Maharaj, one of the most respected leaders in Indian history. Shivaji built a strong kingdom in western India. He used smart military tactics. He built forts. He challenged powerful rulers. He became a symbol of courage, self-rule, and leadership. After Shivaji, the Maratha power grew and spread across large parts of India. In Punjab, the Sikhs also became powerful. Guru Nanak founded Sikhism in the 15th century, teaching devotion, equality, honest living, and service. Later, Sikh gurus guided the community through spiritual and political challenges. Guru Gobind Singh created the Khalsa in 1699, giving the Sikh community a strong identity and spirit of courage. In the 18th and early 19th centuries, Maharaja Ranjit Singh built a powerful Sikh empire in Punjab. In Bengal, Awadh, Hyderabad, Mysore, and other regions, strong local powers also developed. Mysore became important under Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan. Tipu Sultan fought against the British and tried to strengthen his kingdom. By this time, a new kind of power was entering India: European trading companies. The Portuguese came first by sea. Then the Dutch, the French, and the British came. At first, they came for trade. They wanted spices, textiles, and other goods. India was rich in handmade cloth, spices, and trade goods. Indian textiles were famous around the world. But slowly, trade turned into politics. The British East India Company became more powerful. It was not a normal company like companies today. It had armies. It fought battles. It made alliances. It collected taxes. It slowly became a political power. This was the beginning of the next major chapter. Medieval India was ending. Modern India was beginning. The most important lesson from medieval India is this: India changed again and again, but it kept absorbing, adapting, and creating. Different rulers came, different cultures met, different religions interacted, different languages grew, architecture changed, music changed, food changed, clothing changed, literature changed, but India continued. Medieval India gave us great forts, temples, mosques, tombs, poetry, music, saints, warriors, cities, and empires. It was a time of conflict, but also creativity. It was a time of battles, but also beauty. It was a time of power, but also devotion. And by the end of this period, India was standing at a turning point. A trading company from a small island country was about to become the ruler of a huge civilization. This would change India forever. Chapter 3: Modern India, from company rule to freedom and the making of a nation. Modern Indian history begins with a major change. Foreign traders slowly became rulers. The British East India Company came to India for trade. At first, it wanted profit. It wanted Indian spices, textiles, tea, and other goods. But over time, the company realized that political power could make trade easier and more profitable. The turning point came in 1757. This was the Battle of Plassey. In this battle, The British East India Company defeated the Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dowlah. Robert Clive played a major role in this victory. This battle was important because Bengal was one of the richest regions of India. After this, the company became very powerful in Bengal. In 1764, the Battle of Buxar made the company even stronger. After this, the British got the right to collect revenue from Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. This gave them money, power, and control. Now the company was no longer just a trader. It was becoming a ruler. Slowly, the British expanded across India. They used wars. They used treaties. They used alliances. They used clever political methods. They fought Mysore. They fought the Marathas. They fought the Sikhs. They made agreements with princely states. They used policies like the doctrine of lapse, where they took control of kingdoms if there was no natural male heir. Many Indian rulers lost power. Many farmers suffered under heavy taxes. Indian industries, especially traditional textile industries, were badly affected. British economic policies were made mainly to benefit Britain. Raw materials were taken from India. British manufactured goods were sold in India. This damaged many Indian artisans and workers. India, which had once been famous for its rich trade and industries, slowly became a source of raw material and a market for British products. But British rule also brought new changes. Railways were built. The telegraph was introduced. Modern education spread. English education created a new educated class. New laws and administration systems appeared. Printing presses, newspapers, and new ideas started spreading. This created a strange situation. British rule exploited India, but some modern tools also helped Indians communicate, organize, and question British power. English education introduced Indians to ideas like liberty, equality, democracy, rights, and nationalism. Indian thinkers began asking, if these ideas are good for Europe, why not for India? This question became powerful. But before the national movement grew, India saw a huge revolt. The Revolt of 1857. This revolt began among Indian soldiers in the British Army, but it spread to many areas. There were many reasons. Indian soldiers were unhappy. Kings and nobles were angry because they had lost power. Farmers suffered under taxes. People were upset with British interference in society and religion. The immediate cause was connected with rifle cartridges that soldiers believed were greased with cow and pig fat. This hurt both Hindu and Muslim religious feelings. The revolt began in Meerut and then spread to Delhi, Kanpur, Lucknow, Jhansi, and other places. Many leaders became famous. Bahadur Shah Zafar became a symbolic leader. Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi became a symbol of courage. Tatiya Tope, Nana Sahib, Begum Hazrat Mahal, and many others played important roles. The revolt was eventually defeated by the British. But it shook British rule deeply. After 1857, the British Crown took direct control of India from the East India Company in 1858. This was the beginning of the British Raj. The British became more careful, but also more controlling. They reorganized the army. They strengthened administration. They tried to divide Indian communities to maintain power. But the spirit of resistance did not die. In the late 19th century, educated Indians started organizing politically. In 1885, the Indian National Congress was formed. In the beginning, Congress leaders were moderate. They asked for reforms. They wanted more Indian participation in government. They believed in petitions, discussions, and legal methods. Leaders like Dadabhai Naoroji, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, and others explained how British rule was draining India's wealth. Dadabhai Naoroji gave the idea of the drain of wealth. This helped Indians understand that poverty in India was connected to British economic policies. Then a stronger nationalist feeling grew. Leaders like Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, and Lala Lajpat Rai wanted more direct action. Tilak famously said that freedom is his birthright. The partition of Bengal in 1905 increased nationalist anger. The Swadeshi movement began. People boycotted British goods and supported Indian goods. This was not only an economic movement, it was a movement of self-respect. Indians started saying, "We can make our own future. We can stand on our own feet." In 1915, Mahatma Gandhi returned to India from South Africa. His arrival changed the freedom movement. Gandhi understood ordinary people. He knew that India's freedom could not be won only by educated elites. Farmers, workers, women, students, and common people had to be part of the movement. Gandhi used the methods of nonviolence and satyagraha. Satyagraha means holding firmly to truth. He believed that people could fight injustice without hatred and violence. He led movements in Champaran, Kheda, and Ahmedabad. These movements connected him with common people. Then came the non-cooperation movement in 1920. People boycotted British schools, courts, titles, and goods. Khadi became a symbol of self-reliance. The spinning wheel became a symbol of dignity and resistance. In 1930, Gandhi started the Salt March. This was one of the most powerful events in the freedom struggle. The British had put tax on salt. Salt was something every person needed, rich or poor. Gandhi walked from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi and made salt from seawater. This simple act became a national symbol. It showed that even a small thing like salt could become a weapon against injustice. The civil disobedience movement spread across India. People broke unjust laws peacefully. They accepted punishment, but they did not accept fear. The freedom movement also had many other streams. Subhas Chandra Bose believed in a more direct and military struggle against the British. He formed the Indian National Army with the help of Indians abroad. His slogan, "Give me blood, and I will give you freedom," inspired many people. Revolutionaries like Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, Rajguru, Sukhdev, and many others also became symbols of courage. Bhagat Singh was not only brave, he was also a thinker. He wanted freedom from British rule, but he also wanted a just society. Women also played an important role in the freedom movement. Sarojini Naidu, Kasturba Gandhi, Aruna Asaf Ali, Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay, Captain Lakshmi Sahgal, and many others contributed. Thousands of ordinary women joined protests, made salt, spun khadi, organized people, and went to jail. Students, workers, farmers, writers, journalists, lawyers, and teachers all became part of the national awakening. India's freedom struggle was not the story of one person. It was the story of millions. In 1942, during the Second World War, Gandhi launched the Quit India movement. The message was clear. The British must leave India. Many leaders were arrested, but the movement spread. By this time, British power was weakening. The Second World War had damaged Britain economically. Indian soldiers had fought in the war. The Indian National Army trials created sympathy for freedom fighters. There were protests and growing pressure. But the final years before independence were also painful. Differences between the Indian National Congress and the Muslim League increased. The Muslim League, led by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, demanded a separate nation for Muslims. Communal tensions grew. Finally, India was partitioned. On August 15, 1947, India became independent. But independence came with deep pain. India was divided into India and Pakistan. Millions of people crossed borders. There was violence, fear, loss, and separation. Families were broken. Lives were destroyed. Independence was a moment of joy, but partition was a moment of tragedy. This is one of the most emotional truths of modern Indian history. Freedom came, but with wounds. After independence, India had to build itself again. This was not easy. India was poor. Millions were displaced because of partition. There were hundreds of princely states. There were food shortages. There were social divisions. There were questions about language, democracy, economy, and national unity. One of the greatest tasks was integrating princely states into India. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel played a major role in this. He is remembered as the Iron Man of India. With diplomacy, firmness, and leadership, most princely states joined India. Then India created its constitution. The Constitution of India was adopted on 26 November 1949 and came into effect on 26 January 1950. India became a republic. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar played a major role as chairman of the drafting committee. The Constitution gave India a democratic system. It gave citizens rights. It promised justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. It gave India a framework to govern a huge and diverse nation. This was a historic achievement. A country with many languages, religions, cultures, castes, regions, and traditions chose democracy. India did not choose dictatorship. India chose elections. India chose debate. India chose a constitution. India chose the difficult but powerful path of democracy. After independence, India worked on nation building. It built institutions. It built dams. It built universities. It built scientific research centers. It improved agriculture. It developed industries. It tried to reduce poverty. There were many challenges: wars, food shortages, economic difficulties, political conflicts, social inequalities. But India continued moving forward. The Green Revolution helped India increase food production. India's scientists built strong institutions in space, nuclear research, medicine, technology, and engineering. India's democracy faced difficult moments, but it continued. Over time, India's economy also changed. In 1991, India introduced major economic reforms. The economy opened more to the world. Private businesses grew. Technology and services expanded. Indian cities changed. A new middle class grew. India became known for information technology, startups, space science, cinema, medicine, education, and global talent. But modern India is still a country of contrasts. It has great achievements, but also many challenges. It has rich cities and poor villages. It has technology and tradition. It has modern dreams and old social problems. It has unity, but also diversity that must be respected carefully. It has progress, but also the responsibility to make progress fair for everyone. This is the real story of India. India is not perfect. No civilization is perfect. But India is powerful because it continues. It continues after invasions. It continues after empires fall. It continues after colonization. It continues after partition. It continues after poverty, wars, and challenges. India's history is a story of survival and renewal. From the Indus Valley cities to the Vedas, from Buddha and Mahavira to Ashoka, from Gupta knowledge to Chola temples, from Rajput forts to Delhi Sultanate architecture, from Bhakti saints to Sufi wisdom, from Mughal art to Maratha courage, from British rule to freedom struggle, from partition pain to the Constitution, from a newly independent country to a growing modern nation. India's journey is long, emotional, and inspiring. The biggest lesson from Indian history is this: India has always changed, but India has always continued. It has accepted new ideas. It has fought challenges. It has created knowledge. It has suffered deeply. It has risen again. It has given the world mathematics, spirituality, philosophy, literature, art, yoga, democratic energy, and countless examples of courage. Indian history is not just about kings and wars. It is about people. Farmers who worked the land, teachers who shared knowledge, saints who spread wisdom, workers who built cities, artists who created beauty, women who showed courage, freedom fighters who sacrificed everything, ordinary people who kept the civilization alive. That is why the history of India is not boring. It is the story of a civilization that refused to disappear. It is the story of a nation that fell many times but rose again. It is the story of a people who carried memory, culture, hope, and courage across thousands of years. And the story is still continuing.